What's going on, Cancer? I salute the divinity in you, and welcome to the Chariot Friends. Justin here, and how you feeling? The moon's in Capricorn. How you feeling grounded? This is always, I think, a really great time to be thinking about your kind of long-term plans when it comes to a Capricorn. The things that you're, if not anything else, just like what am I doing with myself? You know, when was the last time that like I've invested in me? As far as like maybe I want to, I was like the idea of just like learning a new language or learning a different skill. Maybe you want to learn woodworking. Maybe you want to learn how to do something with cars. Maybe you want to learn to do something with technology. But thinking about some just like long term kind of tangible goals, I think is a really great one with Capricorn and embodying the Saturnian energy that Capricorn brings. But we'll talk about that and why the moon feels all kinds of ways when she's in this energy. And we'll talk about that more in a moment. But before we jump into that, if you're new here, again, my name is Justin, and know that when you're coming across this video, you're in sync with the moon, and she loves that. I love that. This is like a little secret. And I do tarot card spreads based off this lovely luminary, the good old moon. And I'll talk about what sign she's in, what phase she's in, what she's going for. Of course, it's all them lunar shenanigans. And just so y'all aware, this is a general reading, not a one-to-one, so take what fits into your story, discard the rest, and everything will be dope, Cancer. Now, let's jump into it. Because, you know, this is always an interesting one for the moon to be. But you know, while we're talking about the moon and all her, even when she's not in like her most glory, happy Moon Day, depending on when you're watching this. The moon is associated with Mondays. I'm gonna shuffle your cards here while we're talking about this. But you know, the moon deals with like the waxing and wanings of things, the fluctuations of the tides, the fluctuations of our feelings, the fluctuations of our weight, all of the things that deal with like the change. You know, that's what the moon kind of really kind of governs. And I think that moon days are a really great time to check in with yourself. How are you feeling? What things have you been noticing that have been coming up? Have you gotten off your cycle in some sort of way? How can you, you know, just like, especially if you've been feeling kind of lost in like that emotional ocean, you know, I think that moon days can be a great day for getting that back on track. Thanks, Spirit. And yeah, just help getting regulated and feeling more in equilibrium so that you're able to deal with these changes more effectively. Even during moon hours, just like, okay, how am I feeling right now? Do I feel like I need a nap? Do I need a cry? Do I need a run? You know, what do I like run as far as like run out and go for a run? That's what I mean. Yeah, you're safe. But yeah, those are just some things I think to think about with moon days. And I like to think too, just what is your relationship with your moon placement? Where is your moon place? Do you have your moon in Capricorn, or maybe it's in Aquarius, maybe it's in Aries? I'm just going to look down the list here. But wherever it is, well, how's your moon doing? What house is she in? You know, is she in one of the favorable houses? Is she in a more tougher house? What's that looking like? And how are we nurturing those things? How are we feeling about those things? So definitely work with the moon. And let's keep talking about these lunar shenanigans, because on the 2nd of December, happy December, the moon is going to enter into Capricorn at about 1:09 p.m., and that's going to be Pacific time. And now she's getting into the waxing crescent phase. And I do enjoy that combination of Capricorn in the waxing crescent, because one, Capricorn, their ruler is Saturn, and Saturn is about, amongst a number of things, can be about delays, restrictions, things that require patience, of course. But Saturn gives form, it brings about boundaries and things along those lines, sets these limitations for growth. And in order to reach this thing, we have to do an X amount of things to get to that, and then the incent, and then so on until we just ascend it out. But Capricorn, they're the feminine earth sign. And they're cardinal. And so the cardinals are the initiators of the zodiac. Them and Cancer, it's a very interesting combination. Because where the cardinals are the initiators, and that earth energy is really great with the tangible, the kind of materialistic side of this journey, associated real closely with the body and just building of structures, that receptive feminine energy gives what that about is with Capricorn is that idea to see the vision, to have, if you've talked with any sort of like people with Capricorn placements, Aquarius placements, I find that they usually have this really great, they're not sure how to achieve it because I think they're doing it by themselves in this scenario. But when you think about the stuff that I remember talking with a Capricorn, their son in Capricorn, and they had this really great vision for this restaurant that they wanted to open, and I was like, you don't even need to really. It's literally like finding the space, and there are people who want to help you, who will flood to help. I was one of them. I would have definitely helped out, and I think that with the moon being in Capricorn, you can have these big dreams, these big goals, and these things that you want to accomplish in life, or these expectations. And when you're thinking about how you want to achieve them, the work that goes into the discipline, the limitations that you don't feel like you have, all of the things. That's why I think the moon, because the moon is technically in her detriment when she's in Capricorn. And I just think that's why, because it's a lot on her plate, and she is feeling a lot, but she really can't allow herself to get crushed by her feelings because the work still needs to get done. You have this dream that makes you feel good, that's great, but you can want to be the greatest musician, but you still have to practice. You can be the greatest athlete, you still got to exercise. There's still the things that you got to show up each day. You have these responsibilities, and where the moon may not be the most fun, this waxing crescent, I think, is okay, how can I, let's say, if I'm like exercising, for example, exercising doesn't always necessarily feel great. I don't go for like the burn and things, but I am telling myself when I'm feeling that burn, when there are these things, it's like, wow, you're getting stronger than you used to be. I've noticed, and just personally, my balance has gotten a lot, not that it was ever a problem, but I've just noticed a definite improvement in my mind and body connection, and just what I see in my head the body is doing. And then when I'm noticing where things are weak, is or like where things can improve, it's just like, okay. And I think that's what this moon in Aries and waxing crescent energy is like. How do you take what came up during that new moon in Sag, and how do you keep that growth enjoyable? How do you enjoy the workout, the burn, quote unquote, process of this thing? And I think if you could find a way to get into that with whatever intention you're setting out during this lunar cycle, that will take you far, and you will thank yourself. Maybe in the short term, it might be just like F, but in the long term, you're just like, F is fantastic. So those are just some things I think to think about when we get into this kind of combinations of energy here. But this is the time to get excited, to do some research, to do some investigation and things as far as like how you're going to go about this, and get a blueprint for what you're wanting to do as we're in this waxing part of the lunar cycle. So just some things to meditate on. And if you need some help with that meditation, and you need to kind of talk this thing out, down in the description box below, I have a link for the services that I provide, from going over your natal birth chart to so maybe you have your sun in Sagittarius, and it's that's time of the year for your solar return, or whatever this is looking at. Maybe you got a lunar return coming up. I got you. All down in the description box. So avail yourself of that if that's something that resonates with you. But let's go ahead and switch over here. And before we jump into these things, last couple, these readings that I do, what I want to tell you. These readings that I do, they're not gender specific readings. So apply these energies to people as they make sense for your situations. And before we jump into this thing, I'm going to ring this bell to bring some good vibes. So adjust your volume if you need to. But let's get let's get into this thing. All right. All right. Let's see what your general energy is looking like. Ooh, I like that. All right, so you have the Tome of Tradition card here. And this card says, honor the stories and rituals of the past. They are the bedrock of future wisdom. And I think that's very Capricorn. I think that is, and I think that's very Saturn. You have, this is giving me this, think about the things that you've been working on, the story that you've been writing, this tale of you, that earth energy of Capricorn. Just think about you, because this body is a part of that earth energy. And the rituals of the past, the things that you have ingrained inscribed on these, in this being, the things that have just shaped you. And what are you doing with that? The things that you've learned, the relationships that you've had. Where's that taking you? This is kind of building off of that star map that you were building at the new moon phase. And now it's just like, what are you taking this, what are you doing with this wisdom that you have and that you continue to get on your journey? I feel like this is you reading your stories, like you're reading and writing. It's like you're journaling about your story. That might be something that might be coming through for some, to get into the state of writing, or maybe even looking to, I feel like going back, I'm getting this feeling of going back and kind of reviewing maybe like old photos of you and at your hype, and not thinking about like those as the glory days, but as finding that inspiration, or that inner spark, or something along those lines, something to remind you of the purpose. Yeah, get inspired by you. Let me get some tarot on this for the past energy. See what are some things that may have been coming up in the. Okay, interesting. Spirit. So you have the Nine of Pentacles in reverse here. And, with this card, I'm getting this thing of looking, there are these visions of times maybe when you were kind of down on your luck. Maybe you've been feeling, it was like maybe you were in a place where you couldn't take care of things. The foundation was feeling a little rocky here. Because you got this guy, he's all suited up. He's got his little albino peacock here. And there's something here about if there was this story where maybe you were more dependent on someone. Possibly that's one scenario I could see this coming up as, whether this be on parents, maybe this is friends, maybe this is partners. But now you're in a place where it's like you may be wanting more independence. But it's like maybe there's this thing of this, there's been this past foundation of, there's been a constant here that has had you maybe in the background, or seeming that not like that you weren't supporting yourself or something along those lines. Of course, we need people for help, to get certain things done, of course, but this feels different. This feels like a dependency here. And this is past energy. This is something where maybe you not felt or didn't feel in a strong place, but we honor that story in sense of like, okay, you know what? I had this thing. Just because I've been there, I don't have to stay there. I can rewrite this story that is going on, come from this place of wisdom here. But let me get a clarifier for this Nine of Pentacles. Okay, so the the Nine of Pentacles, thank you, Spirit, is clarified by the Eight of Swords in reverse, or excuse me, Eight of Swords here. And this, to me, is feeling blocked. And again, this was in the past, though. This was feeling blocked, not sure how you could get to this state of kind of self-reliance, in a sense. You know, there was something that is bound here, but now now today's a new day. You know, this thing is in your past. And now I think and maybe this person here with them reading, this could be learning about the thing that you didn't know. Maybe something was brought up to your attention. You're just like, oh, I'm needing to maybe get more skilled in your finances, possibly. Or maybe this is learning how to manage a place by yourself. Maybe this is how to be in a relationship, possibly. But whatever this thing is, I'm even getting this, maybe, you know, there were certain rituals that things were being done because that's how they needed to at that time. But again, now there's like a chapter that's closing out here. Now there's something with the past that I think is interfering, you know, that may have been. Yeah, so apply it to your story. Look, get that, pay attention to that. And you know, if we're getting into any sort of kind of repeating patterns or anything along those lines. Because that Eight of Swords, that's Jupiter and Gemini. Both of these cards are, since we're talking about planets in their detriment or fall, Jupiter and Gemini, who's also in his fall, is in this card. And this is Venus in Virgo. This is where she's in fall. So there's a lot of pitfalls here and feeling not in their strongest element. But let's get some future or some present energy here. Thank you, Spirit. So you have the Page of Wands in reverse. And so this page, like I said, this page is in a place right now where I feel like it's staring at a blank page. And then that's a matter of speaking. I mean, what I mean by that is like it's like, what do I do next? Where do I go from here? How do I get to this place of feeling unblocked? This is maybe what the narrative has bring. And now there's this will for change. But the nice thing about the pages is that this will for change is something that can be solidified. I was listening to something very fascinating, that a podcast that has been really great. I'm going to include a link for them down in the description box. They're talking about the tarot in a very, very, very cool way. But they were talking about the pages are all have the earth element, and it's that energy solidified and that energy manifested. And so this is that taking that will for maybe change, that will for doing something different to get to this place of more self-reliance. This could be doing that thing and making that will tangible, making that stuff. You know, it doesn't have to be big steps, you know, baby steps, but just as long as there's some sort of movement that you can see some kind of results in, maybe do a checklist or something along those lines, kind of document even like the changes I'm getting with that tome of tradition. Write a new tradition here. Now let's get a clarifier with this page. Oh, wow. This page. Thanks, Spirit. So you got the Ace of Wands in reverse here. And so there's a lot of heat that's needing to be added right now. This Ace of Wands is feeling a little limp. And I just think that it's just because there's something here, this past thing, this energies, you know, you honor the stories, but something's not doing it anymore. But they are the bedrock for something new, something else. Let's not continue just passing around this. this kind of just like flaccid sort of stick here. Like there's something that's needing to get some, yeah, it's just needing some juice is what I'm getting with this kind of combinations of energies here. This is really just, I mean, it's the Sag energy, I think, that's in the air too right now. That's just, and maybe this was with the Mercury being retrograde, and just like we're getting ready, where we're getting into Mars is going to get ready to go retrograde here shortly, and like by in a few, yeah, in a few days. So I just think that, yeah, this is the time to just kind of evaluate where things have been going and how you can redirect this energy here. See if there's other people, maybe even, that's okay, that's been changing energies. But let's get into the future here. Okay, hold on. We're getting one more here. Okay. Thank you, Spirit. Okay, interesting. Okay, so for your future, you got a lot going on here. So you got the Six of Pentacles and the Eight of Pentacles in reverse, and then you have the Ace of Cups upright. So this the Six of Pentacles, I feel like in the future there's a need to give more into the things that you want to do here with both of these Pentacles cards. I think that this, how she has her hair is kind of wrapped around each of these pentacles. It's not just doing busy work. It's doing things that nourish you, that fill up your. I love this Ace of Cups. Doing things that you love and that can bring about these emotions that I'm getting. This is the seed of emotions, the root of the feelings, where the feelings come from here. And that's where I need this future energy is needing to work on those sort of things to. Yeah, let me get a clarifier with this energy. Oh, interesting. Thank you, Spirit. So the future energy is clarified by the High Priestess. And I was actually thinking about that while I was shuffling, that the Six of Pentacles, how this is the Moon in Taurus, has that High Priestess and Hierophant energy going on here. And I think that there's something here with this High Priestess. Something, I feel like it's like a nudge, and it could come as just like little simple insights and things. Something is trying to get your attention. You may hear certain things in conversations that come up that may seem coincidental. You just happen to be thinking about them, and then someone says something, or you're thinking about them, and then you happen to see a billboard or see a magazine, or the forces, I feel like, are kind of reaching out. But we could miss it with this Eight of Pentacles in reverse when we're still kind of focused on things that get in the way, that are just kind of keeping the energies down, keeping the energies lame is even the word that I'm getting. Just like not, and there's this need for invigoration. And I think with this this Six of Pentacles, even there's this sense here that maybe you're knowing that you're not giving that this is needing to happen. And I pay attention to that those nudges in things as you're able to, but something, it's like, yeah, something is needing to be lit. Let's get some advice from Saturn. I even think with this High Priestess, there's these questions that you're needing to ask yourself that only you can ask. As far as like, where can you give? It's like an evaluation. Where can you give more to yourself? What are you wanting? How do you see your future? What does the future look like to you right now? Thanks, Spirit. So for advice from Saturn, which is appropriate, this is one of Saturn's cards. You have the Three of Swords here. And even though this Three of Swords seems like there's a lot going on, I feel like this is a really strong card in the sense that, because this is where Saturn is exalted in. This is where Saturn's celebrated. Saturn in Libra. And I think that it's overcoming the hardships, the times where things had felt constricted, where you felt low, felt kind of down, and finding the mental tenacity to power through, to acknowledge that, yeah, I'm feeling some way about this, but I understand why I'm feeling this way, and I'm going to give myself this time until the narrative starts to change. I'm going to start pouring back into myself, with this energies here, this Ace of Cups is something that's, and this doesn't, it feels like this High Priestess energy, even with the future, it's like the senses for that are going to become stronger, and not in like they're being aggressive, but there's this, like, it almost gets to like a craving for some type of change here. But I think that Three of Swords is saying where there may have been some hardships and things like that. There's future wisdom that is coming from that, and it's easier to say in hindsight than in the moment. But I think that it gets easier the more experiences that are had here. But even presently, there's maybe even like an apprehension about taking any sort of action for some things. Oh, interesting. So your clarifier for the Three of Swords is the Six of Pentacles upright. And so some advice here is this person here just kind of weighing the scales as far as like where they're giving, where have you been putting your resources, your time, your things. And we may need to make some harsh calls for some stuff. Maybe you're needing to make some adjustments to some relationship dynamics. Maybe this is like maybe just some, whatever this may look like, this sort of separation here. But I think with that adjustment of balance, with that and then we can go ahead and switch back over. I think with that adjustment in these practices, like just things will naturally start to go towards that waxing. Things start waxing and improving again. And I think that it just goes to show how you have the Six of Pentacles, both the Moon and Taurus. The Moon's at her, at her exaltation. There's this both being being upright in reverse, again, there's this, it's like this juggling act that's happening, where it's like, all right, we learned from the past, we're doing these new things for the future, and then something came up and it's like, oh, it's like this version of this past thing just with a new face, just like, I don't know, just like it gets where this pendulum doesn't stop swinging so extreme, and it just feels like, okay, even when we're going through the adjustments, it is more stable, is where I think the energies are trying to lead here. So just some things to think about with this, but I think that's all I got for you there. But if you like that, if anything resonated with you, give it a thumbs up. And share this if you know somebody who could get some nuggets of wisdom from this. And then share this, you high priestess. Hit that bell button to get notified on all these videos each day. And then last little bit. Down, and then actually let me shuffle for your surprise cards. Down in the description box below is a link for my other channel, Alchemist 8, where I talk about the celestial news weekly, and do some other videos on there as well. So definitely check that out for you. But let's see. Okay, so we got a few cards here. Thanks, Spirit. Okay, so you have one, I like this. So you have the Painter card here, which is a card of productivity and creation. Oh, wow. And you have the Muse here, which is a card of generosity and naivety. And then you have the Scholar card in reverse, which is a card of investigation and research. And, for me, the surprise cards here, this Painter, this Muse, you have a lot. And maybe this is just, you have a lot of to give. And I think that with that Six of Pentacles being a reverse and upright, it's like you maybe need to give a lot more to yourself than maybe we're giving to others, or maybe it's in the reverse here. But I think that the Scholar is investigating the source of this imbalance that may have been happening here, especially if we've been noticing any sort of themes that have been coming up maybe for you here recently that have been kind of maybe throwing little wrenches in your plans or whatever that's looking like. But that's really interesting with that present energy, that needing for a bit more fire, that you get the Painter and the Muse. I think that's very interesting, and I think that even that Scholar in reverse is just an invitation to take a course, maybe learn something new, get back into something that inspires you, in whatever that looks like for you. Because I love this. I love this Painter here. I don't know if you can see even the little cool designs. Oh, there we go. There it is. The cool little designs on this paint here as well. And maybe there's something too, maybe kind of hidden in that high priestess energy. There may be some messages in your art. Maybe even. I'm even getting, just because there's three cups here, I'm getting this Three of Cups energy in celebrating in things that make you just feel like abundant. Maybe getting drawn to, there's the pomegranates on this, because first I'm really kind of looking at these cups, and the other pomegranate on this cup, that's very interesting. The pomegranates and the High Priestess might be something to look into as well. All right, but yeah, let's go get a pomegranate on that note. But I think that's all I got for you there. So until next time, keep raising that consciousness and keep the eyes on that moon. And I will catch you on the next one, Mercury Day.